Well, Jim Cornette, who is no stranger to getting himself involved in the controversy, was involved in more controversy this week. As first, he got himself involved in the whole Megan situation, the second in command over in AEW, accusing her of sleeping around with the talent. Of course, he walked into a hornet's nest with that one. And we'll see how that plays out. But also this whole Kast Media situation. Cornette, of course, has been bitching endlessly on his podcast, him and Brian Last, about this Colin Thomson fella of Kast Media, who has signed a bunch of different podcasters to deals where he kind of just does all their advertising deals for them. And then divvies up the funds. Well, he's not divvying up the funds the way he should be divvying up the funds, and Cornette's pissed about it. And probably one of the last people that you want to fuck with. And for more on that situation, check out Jim Cornette and Brian Last here on the Corny's Drive-Thru talking about this Kast Media situation.
You may have noticed that the advertisers and the very, very popular conversations we have about them have been out of the show for the last little while. There have been less commercials in the show the last little while. And this is because of a situation that emerged between us, Arcadian Vanguard and Jim Cornette, and a company that was handling our advertising called Kast Media.
This guy goes from paying us every month for our advertising to all of a sudden, he misses a check. Well, what's going on? Oh, no, they're just industry issues. You've been so far up his ass, you could probably draw from memory the goddamn sketch of his fucking colon turns. And he's, is it just no, there's no problems, there's no issues. And then we get a check, but it's And then we find out, by the way, I'm going bankrupt. But what this alleged weasel does is he takes our money that our advertisers paid for the advertising on our shows and invests it back in another part of his company that is helping produce other people's programs. And he has got some people, as you said, in the same boat, but worse because he owes them money. He was providing them maybe producers or production facilities, or who knows what kind of who shot John deal he had sold them on that he was going to benefit them in some way.
And one of those other podcasts that he mentions just so happens to be this past weekend with Theo Von, as well as a couple other prominent ones like Brandon Schwab's whole shits that he does, and doesn't matter. I'm not a huge fan of those, but I am a fan of Theo Von, who had Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair on a couple weeks ago. He too got wrapped up in all of this mess. Check out this clip.
Our podcast was defrauded. We were stolen from. We were taken advantage of. A lot of ways to say it. The company that did it is Kast Media, and the man that did it is Colin Thomson. And I'm going to put his picture in here. It's, I don't know exactly how to say this. I'm going to do my best. We're part of a larger group of podcasts that were stolen from, right? We were in total, just between talking with folks, there's up to $4 million that I know of that people were taking advantage of. We're in the 6 figures. I know of podcasts that are in the 7 figures. And Colin Thomson, that's his name. I want to say his name so you know it. People get taken advantage of a lot in business, and businesses use tactics and stuff to hide themselves. And they'll use bankruptcy or the threat of this or that. And we had a deal with this company, right? And it was started off good, and then it started to get where we were getting less of our payments. And we were reading the ads. We do the ads, we read them out loud, and and you guys support some of them, and thank you. And then it got to be where we were getting paid less of the payment we were owed. and they sell all the ads a year in advance. So you're kind of stuck into the year, right? And the advertisers were paying Colin Thomson and Kast Media, and they weren't paying us. They would pay us a little bit, and they had a reason why. And he may get my money. That's okay. You know, I'm fortunate that I can still have touring and that I can take care of myself. But you fuck with the wrong rat, Colin. I'll tell you that, brother. And
of course, Colin Thomson, no relation to Conrad Thompson, who was also a podcast kingpin. Or is he? Dun, dun, dun. Should I do the zoom in on the edit and the post edit, or should I just, fuck it, it'll take too much time. Colin Thomson out there fucking everybody, allegedly. And this has stirred up the attention of one Coffeezilla. Coffeezilla is a prominent YouTuber, an investigative journalist who digs into scams and scandals out there in internet land. I covered him on this show not that long ago when he famously covered the Logan Paul NFT scandal situation. And now he has caught a whiff of this whole Kast Media debacle, and he decided to dig in a little bit for himself. And of course, as any good investigative journalist would do, he went straight to the source. And no, I'm not talking about Theo Von and Jim Cornette. I'm talking about this Colin Thomson fella. He asked him, "What's up? What's up with this?" Check out this clip.
What I did want to know, though, is how did that $4 million go missing in the first place? And to try to find out, I began to reach out to everyone, starting with Colin Thomson, to ask for his side of the story. You're being accused of basically stealing $4 million. Your clients say you defrauded them. What's your side of the story?
A musician originally, and I got into this because I wanted to support shows that were bucking the trend, going against the grain, but unique and important to the broader dialogue.
But where's the 4 million? I mean, yeah, I hear you. Everybody's got a grand vision, but the grand vision, when we get to this point, everyone wants to know where the money is, not what the vision is.
Sure. We built an infrastructure at Kast that I was and am tremendously proud of. I believe that over the years, we generated better revenue for creators, paid them out more than other podcasts would necessarily be able to, because we invested heavily in an infrastructure, took an individualized approach, anecdotally.
But you're saying you pay out more, but I mean, clearly that's, kind of not true, right?
Wait, but you asked for my story. Do you mind if I just tell the story? We're getting to the financial difficulties.
Stephen. Sure.
Our vision, it really worked. Creators benefited, made a lot more money than they would have. And many creators do have more money in their pocket now because of that. However, during the period from February 2022 until February 2023, our unit economics changed drastically. Our revenue per download, which is an important metric for analyzing sales performance, free from content performance considerations, dropped by 58%. In other words, over the course of those 12 months, the revenue that we could generate on one download moved down by 58%,
Okay. That took 3 minutes to get to a real answer. And I've got to be honest, this whole conversation was about that painful. Talking to somebody who owes creators millions and he's telling you how he got them paid so much money is a little frustrating, but setting that aside, the central claim of Colin is that all of this happened because revenues dropped in 2022 and he just couldn't pay people on time.
Well, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It's just that, look, the ad revenue wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was a down period in the industry. Podcasts aren't doing that well these days, man. Times are tough for podcasters. Except Jim Cornette knows that's all bullshit because he happens to have the biggest podcast in all of wrestling. Probably one of the bigger podcasts in all of not wrestling as well. So Cornette had something to say about that. Check out this clip.
That's when we start hearing about industry conditions. Ignoring the fact that we are in this industry.
And our conditions have never been better.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We know how to scale a business. We know how to make a profit. We're good. We have survived just fine any industry issues with advertising. We've done quite well. You've got a problem. It's not an industry problem, it's a you problem.
And of course, Coffeezilla wasn't sold on this story either, so he dug a little further and went out and interviewed a partner of Colin, Thomson, and here's what he had to say. Check out this clip.
So let's go into the deeper waters. The truth is, these deals vary wildly, and some of the bigger podcasters demand something called a minimum guarantee, where they aren't just paid a split of ads, they're paid a guaranteed minimum every month. And podcasters love this because it means they don't have to wait so long to get paid. According to Colin, though, this is how he fell behind.
We had months in there where our gross profit margins were, literally negative prior to any operating expenses. Because the minimum guarantees that made economic sense when we made the deal were just completely underwater.
Basically, he overpaid. Kast made deals to bring people on in the first place, overpromised, and then couldn't pay. Even Colin's former business partner agreed with this, although he thinks some of the money went to Colin personally as well.
To be able to buy land where a lot of celebrities go to escape. But aside from that, the other thing that he has done is essentially make constant minimum guarantees to new talent to try to entice them to join Kast Media. So saying, I'll give you a 1 year guaranteed $250,000, $500,000, whatever his minimum guarantee is. Now, I've heard that even as soon as February of this year, he was offering multi-million-dollar minimum guarantees. So
at the same time where he claims his revenues are way down, he's offering multi-million-dollar minimum guarantees for talent.
Yes, yeah. So, his priority is trying to keep the new talent happy for a while, with essentially his whole goal of selling Kast to make big money in the end. But yeah, I would say that honestly, most of the money probably went to the minimum guarantees of other talent instead of to the people that it was supposed to go to.
Wow. Some of the money may have gone to a house. So I decided to look into that and found that Colin Thomson indeed bought a $1.7 million house the same year as his financial troubles. And I also found out that right about the time he was talking about declaring bankruptcy, he moved that house into a trust where the trustee was a Wyoming LLC he set up, which from where I stood looked a lot like hiding assets from a bankruptcy right before a bankruptcy. But when I confronted Colin about this, he said, I had things completely backwards. The truth is he was hiding his property for a totally different reason, a very sympathetic reason.
We anonymized our address because we were getting threats in the last 30 days. There's been, there's been nothing untoward.
I think you can see though how other people might see it another way, where it looks like you're trying to shield it by hiding it from a personal name into a trust owned by an LLC. I mean, I'm in a very favorable state.
I assume you listen to the Jim Cornette episodes where they specify where I live, right? I assume you listen to the Jim Cornette episodes where they specifically call out where I live. We were really, really concerned. We were getting threats.
When I heard this, I was pretty alarmed, and I totally understood his fears. So I went to go ahead and look for the episode where Jim Cornette apparently specifically called out where he lived, but it wasn't there. Actually, Jim Cornette never mentions a specific address, but a general area. But way more damning for Colin's story is the fact that that episode came out in July, but Colin formed his LLC for moving the house in June. Before these threats ever happened, he's creating this shell company. So I found it very hard to believe. I pointed this out to Colin, and he said this, quote, they revealed general details, and I anticipated the possibility of this happening. Brian threatened it very specifically in my original email exchange with him back in May. So I got a hold of those emails. There was no threat in them. Instead, Brian said things like, "Consider this a serious caution. We're going to make sure to endlessly let all listeners know with great detail that Colin Thomson of PodcastOne stole our money because he doesn't know how to run a business." Which is sort of true. This guy doesn't know how to run a business. So I became increasingly convinced maybe, just maybe, Colin might be lying to me about why he hid his house in a trust with a Wyoming LLC trustee. Okay.
This is why I highly recommend you watch Coffeezilla, man. He digs into shit. He does the work. He does the journalism. He did it with Logan Paul. He's still doing it with Logan Paul. He does follow-ups and shit. He almost got sued by Logan Paul, but then Logan was like, "No, I'm not going to do that," because he knows it's shady. Coffeezilla knows where to get the dirt, and he's gotten to the bottom of it. And here's where all of this lies. Here's what happened with Kast Media, Jim Cornette, Theo Von. Check out this clip.
And look, I don't know how dumb this guy thinks we are, but in my opinion, what happened is pretty simple. I think Colin bought a $1.7 million house the same year as he had trouble paying people. I think his accounting was always sketchy. I think he overpromised people money to attract new talent. And I think in the end, he tried to sell it all to a bigger company and force these podcasters into raw deals.
In the end, he's going to get his. I think PodcastOne's kind of hearing all about this. And look, they're shady too. They got their own troubles. The whole industry's shady. You don't need it. Just fucking go out and do your own ad deals or whatever. Sign with Conrad if you need somebody else to do your ad deals. But I doubt a podcast like fucking Cornette's podcast is going to need anybody's help with anything. They are fantastic, doing fantastic. But they got themselves caught up in this mess. Colin Thomson, he's a little fucking rat, allegedly. You know, a little weasel, allegedly. He looks like Kip Sabian, allegedly. And all that allegedly stuff. But what are your thoughts? We've thoroughly investigated this. I will leave the link to the full Coffeezilla. I just played you some of the highlights and the stuff that really references Cornette and the interviews with Brian Last and that sort of thing. But really, I recommend you check out the whole thing. Link is in the description below. And give his whole channel a follow. Watch some of his shit. He does good work. With that said, leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next.
Oh yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Yeah, and you can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on the channel. Oh yeah, dig it.